Nnamdi Kanu's U.S. lawyer, Rice James Omotosho, the presiding judge handling the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and demands for dismissal of the charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for lacking jurisdiction. That is the main game. You see, the reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case has continued is that his lead counsels has not filed a suit, a case against the federal government of Nigeria at the International Criminal Court because his extraordinary rendition or adoption is an international violation, has grave consequences. So I don't understand the reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu lawyers have not taken this decision for long to file a suit against the Nigerian government for the adoption, illegal adoption and rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which is an international crime. And also join suit with everyone involved in this extradition process, extraordinary rendition process, and the continued detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which is an international crime. Now, possibly the Bruce Fein, the U.S. counsel to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has taken this step, demanding for immediate dismissal of and discontinuing of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu charges, the charges against him, because the Nigerian government, under international law, lacks the jurisdiction to even summon Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the courts, let alone subjecting him to such level of cruelty. Confined within DSS dojo for how many years? That is a position. Now, what was the motive behind the president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, discarding the overwhelming verdict that was ruled by an appellate court of law? There is a substantive court's verdict on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu matter. After he was abducted, rendition from Kenya, after he was tortured, he survived the torture, he was arraigned in the court of law. Despite the fact that the federal government lacks the legal right and jurisdictional competence to summon him. Be that as it may, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu stand trial, and eventually won from the High Court down to the Appeal Court. He won overwhelmingly, and the Appeal Court verdict discharged and acquitted him, struck out all the count charges levied against him, and discharged and acquitted him. Now, do you understand that the intention of Tinubu was to jail Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? The reason why Tinubu have to discard, search upon the justice, the pronouncement, the verdict that was ruled in favor of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was his intention was to jail Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to find a ground to jail him, or possibly sacrifice him just for his political ambition. Now, what are the current charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? I think there are about 7 charges that was resurrected, 7 charges that were resurrected, which is not different from the 15 count charges that was amended for more than 8 times and eventually was struck out. Now, what Justice Omotosho was presenting as a way of indicting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you can see this could be considered as a conspiracy, has been expressed by one of the honorable representatives, Agocha. He said it appears that what is going on is a conspiracy, a gang up by certain political elite from Yoruba land to begin another new civil war between the Yorubas and the Igbos. Because he can't see the reason why all these things are happening. Because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is an Igbo man. Now, when Buhari renditioned Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Buhari said he is not going to interfere in court matters, which eventually the court has their way. They decided the rules after rigorous litigations and the rest of them. A panel of 6 judges was constituted, reviewed the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and came up with overwhelming verdicts. Omotosho was there. I possibly believe he has a copy of this case and the details of the judgment that was given or ruled. So he cannot deny knowledge of that. And he cannot also deny that there has not been any judicial precedence that a man who is accused and eventually discharged and acquitted should also continue the same trial, even by an appellate court of law, a higher court in the order of Nigerian legal hierarchy or judicial hierarchy. The appeal court is the appellate court of law that gave it that a verdict. And somehow it was purely manipulated because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu posed a question to both the Nigerian Bar Association and the student lawyers and the rest of them that they should give any reference, make any reference to the judicial precedents on how his own case was handled. Up till now, nobody could establish any judicial precedents that an accused, discharged, and acquitted should continue endless trial. What was the intention of Tinubu and his council to set aside an overwhelming case, a victory for justice, a victory for freedom that was established in Nigeria court, as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu rightly said, that he is going to win Nigeria. He is going to win Nigeria in their own courts, which is a prophecy fulfilled. Now, what was the intention of Buhari? Some people might say that he inherited the case of Mazi Nnamdi. That is purely lie. Tinubu was part of the APC, was part of Buhari's administration. So whatever may have transpired is a way of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as under rendition. He is a key player in Tinubu's administration. He nominated most of the appointments, both ministerial appointments and the rest of them. He was aware. Now, despite the fact that the court gave a verdict and instructed that no other court within the Nigerian legal jurisprudence has the jurisdictional competence to try Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they disregarded that position, that court injunction. Some persons may not have asked why. Why did Tinubu not adhere to the proceedings, the court verdict that was ruled in favor of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? And he has to now, of course, with his appointees, the likes of Fabemi and the rest of them, directed that the High Court should now start the case afresh. Where has that happened? Did it happen in the case of Badejo Mieti Allah president, who was caught red-handed training and giving people arms, buying arms? It was red-handed, caught. The likes of Sunday Igboho, who took gun to defend his own people that were being killed, he was also accused of treason and the rest of them. But today they are walking innocently free. When Buhari renditioned Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, everybody was saying it's Fulani, Fulani, Fulani. But who counseled, who sat on the justice that prevailed, that was given, a overwhelming verdict that was given in favor of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? That is Tinubu. the president and the family attorney general of the federation. They should be accountable to Nigerians and to the entire world. Why they should jettison, discard the court ruling verdict? That should be considered the content of the courts. For those who are conversant with legal terminologies and oppressions, the main reason Tinubu wanted Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to continue the trial is to find a ground to nail him. It doesn't matter the outcome, despite the fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been pronounced innocent, not by individuals, by the court, the highest court in Nigeria, not even the high court. High court is a lower court. Are you not seeing all these things? Now, this is the reason why people begin to doubt the credibility, the sincerity on the part of Omotosho to dispense justice, to give justice as a matter of urgency. Because it is incumbent in him. He is eventually on trial, no Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. What will happen thereafter? Now, when you review the 7-count charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it is just the same part of the count charges that was quashed. Why is James Omotosho, despite the fact that the prosecutor has not been able to establish or prove or defend those charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the witnesses that was arraigned in the courts, they were even confused, including the so-called DSS max witnesses. Look at their testimonies. It wasn't adding up. So on what basis did James Omotosho retain the same 7-count charges, even when they could not be argued or defended by the witnesses that was arraigned and the prosecuting counsel? And his body language clearly suggests that he's indirectly saying that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is guilty, for reminding him that he should go and consult criminal experts over the implication of his action for declining, of course, to enter the fence, because he have seen, based on the different court injunctions and verdict that was ruled, you can't continue in the same trial. How many times will you try a man before you will approve and uphold his innocency? He has been tried and charged of treason and terrorism, which he was acquitted and discharged. So you want to bring upon, resurrect the same charges and tender it before the court. Now, the best action that the counsel to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should have taken before now is to have filed a suit, a case at the International Criminal Court because of lack of jurisdiction. I don't know if they were intimidated or overwhelmed or overtaken by events and confused that they shouldn't have taken such proactive step at the initial time. I don't know what exactly was running through their mind to have taken too long a time to be indecisive about such development. What are they exactly waiting for? No, what are they exactly waiting for? Continue endless argument over the jurisdiction of Nigeria to try the case. The appellate court have ruled that you have no jurisdiction, you lack jurisdiction to try the case. So why is James Omotosho insisting that he has the jurisdiction, knowing fully well that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was adopted? Even the Kenyan High Court affirmed that, gave a ruling indicting Nigerian government over what is considered as illegal and unlawful adoption of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya. And yet, all this evidence seems to have been swept under the carpet. The body language of James Omotosho presupposes that he possibly might be playing to the gallery. Because you cannot see all this abundant evidence and yet decide otherwise. The was giving Mazi Nnamdi Kanu 6 days to put up defense. What kind of defense is that? And Mazi Nnamdi, having gone through his file case, said, I have no business to put up a defense because there is no valid charge against me. Because the same allegations of terrorism and the rest of them, cyber, whatever, he was caught with a microphone and the addressive system. How does that amount to criminality? As James Omotosho, by my own opinion, is working hard. Is working hard to convict Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Is working hard to make Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have a sense of guilt for defending his innocency and maintaining that there is no case against him. He's not just saying it. The appeal court, the Nigerian highest court, has affirmed that, and the evidence of the court ruling is there. So how can a lower court, the high court, overrule the verdict of an appellate court of the highest court in the land? Where has such happened? It is quite very unfortunate, honestly. As someone have expressed, the only reason why Kanu's case is still going, the only reason Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case is still going on is because Kanu's lawyers have not, is yet to file a case at the International Criminal Court. Let Nigeria come and prove her rights and jurisdiction over the case of a man kidnapped, abducted, tortured, and held behind the dungeons of DSS. Behind DSS dungeon for donkey years. It is an international criminal offense, honestly. The illegal adoptions to rendition plus continuous detention ever since. Everyone involved in the illegal rendition and the political leaders still holding him should be joined in the suit at the International Criminal Court. International Court. It is a big international crime, and this, of course, must be stopped. These Nigerian officials are committing, they're complicit. Maybe by then, of course, as Nnamdi Kanu's U.S. lawyer has demanded that Justice James Omotosho should step down the case, should with immediate effect dismiss these charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because James Omotosho lacked the jurisdiction in the first instance to even entertain Mazi Nnamdi Kanu case, let alone insulting his personality and intelligence, that he should go and ask criminal experts. He is now indirectly suggesting that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a criminal. Even without deciding the case. Without giving a position, he's indirectly suggesting that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is already guilty, without reviewing and considering his own position. The positions and evidences tendered by Mazen Nnamdi Kanu will be re-examined to ascertain the veracity of his claim. Not that mere suggesting that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is already a criminal and he could be convicted. That is what I can read from his position. I'm not a liar, I'm an international analyst and social critics, but that is what I can decode from his expression. Is he not aware that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu has been tried and an appellate court of law have given a verdict, overwhelming verdict, demanding and instructing Nigeria that no other court has the jurisdiction to try Mazen Nnamdi Kanu within the Nigerian space? Possibly this could be a new dawn for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, as the friend, his international lawyer, of course, has taken the bold step and demand for a dismissal of that charge, or eventually face international criminal courts. I expected Mazen Nnamdi Kanu lead counsel to have taken this step ab initio. This possibly wouldn't have dragged to this extent. The moment the appeal court gave their verdict on the 13th of October 2022, 3 years back, they should have capitalized on that and filed a case at the International Criminal Court, at the International Court, where Nigeria, federal government of Nigeria, will come and prove there is no innocency for adopting the right, what international right or legal right gives them the cover, the immunity to adopt a man, kidnap a man, subject him to endless trial, torture him to the point of death, and continue his endless incarceration. Maybe that would be a very interesting argument, of course, to contend with, or to argue at the courts, at the international courts. Even when overwhelmingly the Nigerian courts have declared and discharged Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, declare him innocent. Not innocent by them, but by conviction. And there is no other court within the Nigerian legal system that could set aside that verdict that was ruled. No other court, not even a lower court, presided by James Omotosho, the High Court. What is High Court compared in the hierarchy of Nigerian legal system? That you have already suggested that he is guilty, upholding the 7-count charges because you have doing your best, working very hard to get Mazen Nnamdi Kanu convicted without basis. Well, in as much as I understand that James Omotosho, and of course Nigeria is an employer of the government, is on the payroll of the government, but that does not suggest that the dispensation of justice should be sabotaged at the altar of sacrifice. By my own opinion and by the conviction and the ruling of an appellate court of law, the appeal court, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is discharged and acquitted, is innocent. And there is no other ruling, of course, otherwise that could displace that. That is just the case.